The missing Faceed's sun was barely up when Ana de Armas walked into the studio office, coffee in one hand, hope in the other. The film was everything she had worked for. Months of long shoots, sleepless nights, emotional scenes, and moments when she had given more of herself than she ever had on camera. And today was supposed to be the big moment, the official reveal of the movie's promotional poster. She smiled as she entered the hallway. Crew members greeted her warmly. The makeup artist waved from a distance. Even the security guard nodded with a grin. Everything felt right until she turned the corner. Her steps slowed, though her smile faded. On the massive wall in the lobby, the new poster stood tall, glossy, and bold. But her face was not on it. Keanu Reeves stood alone in the center. The title glowed in gold. But where Ana had once been, just beside him, was now empty space. The design had been changed. She was gone. Ana blinked hard, as if her eyes were playing tricks. She walked closer, scanning every inch of the display, hoping maybe she had missed something. Maybe they had moved her to a corner. Maybe it was a teaser poster. Maybe it was a mistake. But deep down she knew it wasn't a mistake. A soft laugh echoed behind her. She turned to see a young marketing assistant whispering to another, both of them glancing her way and then looking down. Ana forced a tight smile and walked past them, her hands trembling slightly. She made her way to the meeting room where the rest of the cast and team were gathering for a press day briefing. Keanu was already seated inside. When he saw her enter, he gave her a warm smile, but it faded quickly as he noticed the look on her face. She sat beside him, quietly trying to steady her breath. "You okay?" he whispered. "They removed me," she said softly, barely moving her lips. From the poster, Keanu frowned. "What?" Before she could answer, the marketing head stood up and began the meeting. He clicked a remote and the screen lit up. With images of the new poster, behind-the-scenes clips, the upcoming campaign, Ana sat there, silent. Shrinking into herself, the man at the front kept talking about market tests, audience response, and branding appeal. He never mentioned her name once. And then came the line that cut deep. "This is a Keanu Reeves vehicle. We're leaning into that. We think it's best to focus all promotion around him." The room went quiet for a moment. Some people nodded. Others avoided eye contact. Keanu slowly turned toward the marketing head. "So, Ana's just erased." The man shrugged. "Not erased, just ... minimized." The data says. Keanu stood up. The room froze. "Stop," he said. His voice was low, but powerful. "Don't tell me what the data says. I've seen what Ana gave to this film. We all did. We wouldn't have half the story without her." The marketing head shifted uncomfortably. "Keanu, it's just marketing." "No," Keanu said. "It's disrespect, and I won't be part of it." Ana stared at him, stunned. The marketing team scrambled, trying to smooth things over, but Keanu cut them off. "If Ana's not on the poster, I'm not promoting this film, period." The silence in the room was deafening. Nobody expected this. Ana felt tears sting the corners of her eyes, but she blinked them back. Outside the meeting room, the whispers had already started. Assistants were texting. Publicists were pacing. Tension spread like wildfire. Keanu didn't back down. He walked out of the room without another word, and the studio was left in shock. Ana sat there, overwhelmed, unsure what to feel. A few months ago, she had doubted if she belonged in this industry. Now, one of the most respected actors in the world had just risked everything to stand beside her, but the battle was far from over. Back in her trailer, Ana stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her face looked tired, but her eyes were determined. Maybe this was the moment she needed. Not just to prove herself to the world, but to finally stand up for herself. And deep inside, something was beginning to change. Silent Storm Sana didn't sleep that night. Her trailer felt like a box filled with ghosts of her scenes. Her lines, her long nights crying in front of the camera, while the director whispered, "Give me more." Now all that emotion, all that effort, had been cropped out like she never existed. She sat on the edge of her bed, phone buzzing with unread messages from her agent, from castmates, from journalists. But the only one she opened was from Keanu. "You okay?" "I meant what I said today." Not backing down, she stared at the message. He had stood up in front of an entire room and said what she hadn't dared to say herself. And now there was a ripple across the industry. The next morning, her name trended, but not in the way she had imagined. #justice for Ana. #where is Ana? But a #RevRefuseit had started quietly. A fan account noticed the poster change and made a side-by-side comparison. Others began resharing it. Soon, the entire conversation had shifted from movie excitement to industry sexism and erasure. But while the internet buzzed with outrage, the studio remained cold. A formal email arrived in her inbox. It was polite, professional, cruel, due to evolving promotional strategy. We're focusing on select lead elements for market rollout. We appreciate your contribution to the project. That was it. No apology, no correction, just a push toward the shadows. Ana's hands trembled. Not with sadness, but with something sharper. She walked to set that day, not as the soft, uncertain actress people often assumed she was, but with a quiet fire in her. She found Keanu sitting alone on a bench near the makeup trailers, sipping black coffee, deep in thought. He looked up as she approached, then smiled gently. "You okay?" he asked again. "No," she said truthfully. "But I don't want to be quiet about it anymore." He nodded slowly. "Good, then let's speak." Didn't call a press conference. I didn't scream on social media. Instead, Keanu posted one photo on his page. It was a candid, behind-the-scenes image of him and Ana laughing during filming, covered in dirt from a dramatic action scene. His caption was simple. "This film is her story too. I don't promote lies." Within 10 minutes, the post had over 1 million likes. Ana followed with her own. A short video, no makeup, no filter. Just her, sitting in her trailer. "I was proud of the work I did in this film," she said, her voice calm but steady. "But yesterday, I was removed from the poster. Without warning, without discussion. This isn't just about me. It's about how women in this industry are made invisible after we give everything. I'm still here. I'm still proud." The internet exploded. Major actors, producers, and activists shared her post. Female directors began resharing old stories of being erased or edited out suddenly. The studio wasn't just facing one actor's protest. They were facing a wave by noon. Keanu's publicist released a statement. "Mr. Reeves will not participate in any promotional activity for the film until Ms. Armas is restored to her rightful place in the campaign." What? In a quiet boardroom at the top of the studio tower, executives sat nervously. Their emails flooded. Advertisers called. Media outlets demanded statements. The marketing director, who had confidently dismissed Ana a day before, now stood frozen, holding a folder that no one wanted to read. "This was supposed to be simple," someone muttered. "Now it's a storm." Another whispered, "But for Ana, something else mattered more than posters and press." She received a message from a young girl named Marisol, lived in a small town in Mexico. "I saw your video. I've always been scared to speak, but not anymore. Gracias." Ana cried reading it, because that message meant more than any premiere. That night, the studio called her. "We'd like to talk." The voice on the phone said, suddenly softer, but Ana didn't answer right away this time. They could wait. The balance had shifted. For the first time, Ana wasn't chasing approval. The world was watching her stand still and watching the system move around her. The meeting they didn't expect. Ana walked into the studio building with her head held high. This time, she wasn't there to smile and nod. She wasn't there to accept what they handed her. She was there to speak. Keanu walked beside her, silent, but steady, like a quiet mountain of support. He wore his usual black jacket, sunglasses in hand, his steps slow and calm, but his eyes focused, firm. The elevator doors closed behind them. Ana's heart pounded in her chest. This meeting wasn't just about a poster anymore. It was about how she'd been treated and how countless others had been treated before her. As the elevator rose, She took a deep breath. You don't have to do this with me, she said. Keanu turned to her gently. I do. When they stepped into the conference room, every seat was filled. Executives, producers, legal advisors, PR heads, each one looked up as the two entered. Some tried to smile. Others avoided eye contact. The energy in the room was stiff, uncomfortable. The studio head stood up. An older man in a tailored suit, his voice practiced, polite but slightly nervous. Anna, Keanu, thank you for coming. Please sit. They sat but said nothing. They let the silence stretch. The man cleared his throat. Let's be honest. This situation has grown beyond what anyone expected. Our intent was never to diminish your contribution, Anna. Keanu tilted his head, but you did. The studio head looked down at his papers, then back up. The campaign strategy was based on testing and demographics. At least we now understand the optics, and the consequences were mishandled. Anna leaned forward. Her voice was calm but clear. This isn't about optics. This is about respect. Room went quiet. You didn't just crop my face off a poster, she said. You erased my story, my work, my name. And then when I didn't say anything, you expected silence to mean approval. One interrupted her. But I'm not silent anymore. If I'm going to stand in front of cameras to promote this film, I need to know that I'm not just being used when it's convenient. An older woman in the corner, one of the senior producers, slowly nodded. You're right, she said, and I'm sorry. Keanu folded his hands. So what now? The marketing director, who had been silent the whole time, finally spoke. We've already started reworking the materials. Anna's name and image will be restored to all global posters. Trailers will be updated, interviews restructured. Anna didn't react right away. She listened, not to the words, but to the tone. This time there was no arrogance, no brushing aside. This time they were paying attention, and the official premiere. Keanu asked, Who's standing at the front? The studio head nodded. Anna and Keanu side by side. Long silence passed. Then Anna finally spoke. Don't need a red carpet. I don't need flashing cameras. I just needed to be seen. The room breathed again. After the meeting, Anna stepped out into the sunlight. The air felt lighter. Freer. Keanu walked beside her, quiet for a moment. You were incredible in there, he said. Anna smiled faintly. I think I was just tired of shrinking. He nodded. Good. But the world doesn't need you smaller. Later, that day, a new trailer was released online. This time, Anna was in it, fully present, powerful. One scene in particular went viral. Standing in the middle of a firelit street, facing danger alone, eyes fierce, voice steady, fans flooded. The comments. She carried that scene. How was she ever left out? Her performance gives chills. A reporter asked Keanu in an interview later, What made you speak out? He simply answered, Because silence is part of the problem. The story wasn't over yet. As the premiere day approached, a leaked email made its way into the press. It came from within the studio, and it said, We gave in to pressure. Let's ride the publicity wave, then phase her out again. Anna saw it at midnight, and this time the fire inside her didn't flicker. It roared. The fire she didn't hit. Anna stared at the leaked email glowing on her phone screen. It wasn't just disappointing, it was revealing. Everything they'd promised her in that meeting was a performance, a strategy, not because they believed. She deserved it, but because they wanted to control the damage. She sat alone in her living room, the city lights flickering beyond the glass windows. A storm was building inside her, not one of rage, but of resolve. She had stayed quiet for years, played the game, smiled through the dismissals, bit her tongue when male co-stars were praised for the very line she'd coached them through. Now, she wasn't going to let them phase her out. Not this time. And this time, she wasn't alone. Within minutes, the email spread across social media. Fans, activists, fellow actors, everyone saw it. Screenshots circulated. Hashtags erupted. Hashtag DONT phase ANA hashtag. Not just a poster face hashtag. An A was never temporary. Keanu called her before sunrise. I saw it. He said, I believe you. I'm done playing. Along, she said softly. Then let's not play. Keanu replied. Let's tell the truth. That same morning, Anna sat down for an unscheduled interview. No agents, no filters, just her and the camera. You all saw the email, she began. So let me say this clearly. I'm not part of anyone's publicity wave. I'm not here to boost image. I'm not here to be used. I was part of this story from day one. If that makes people uncomfortable, then they were never telling the story right. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't curse or cry. She just spoke. And that truth echoed the studio. Scrambled legal teams drafted statements. Damage control calls were made, but none of it landed. Not this time. Because something had changed. People believed Anna, not because of a marketing spin, but because she had stopped. Waiting for permission to be seen, Keanu released a follow-up. This video. He didn't read from a script. Anna was the heart of this film. If you ever doubted that, it's because you were taught to doubt women who stand in silence, who carry strength quietly, who don't beg for praise. I'm proud to be her co-star, Ed. But even more, I'm proud to stand behind her as she speaks. Video went viral instantly, not because it was polished, but because it was real. Days later, premiere night arrived. Paparazzi swarmed the red carpet. Interviewers lined the ropes, shouting for attention. But when the black car pulled up and Anna stepped out, everything slowed. She wore a simple, elegant black dress. No sparkle, no drama, just grace. Keanu stepped out behind her and offered his arm, and together they walked, hand in hand. Side by side as they stood before the cameras, a reporter asked, Anna, what do you want people to know tonight? She smiled gently, her voice soft but strong. That I was always here. Inside the theater, when the film began, something unexpected happened. As the lights dimmed and the opening credits rolled, a new screen appeared before the movie started, white text on black. This film is dedicated to every artist who was ever erased before their light could shine. Keanu had made sure of it. Personally, Anna sat quietly in her seat as the audience applauded the tribute. She didn't cry, she didn't speak, but her heart finally felt heard. Later that week, the studio released another email, this time to apologize. They admitted the mistake. They restored full credit to Anna, and they offered her a producer role on the next project. But Anna didn't reply right away. Instead, she booked a flight, not to a film set, but to a small acting school in Havana, Cuba, where she once trained, where little girls dreamed of the stage, where no one had ever heard of a market strategy. And she told them her story, because now she knew. Her voice wasn't made to be quiet, it was made to break ceilings. The letter that changed the room's sun was rising over Havana as Anna stood at the front of the small classroom. The paint on the walls was cracked, the fans barely worked, but the room was full of fire. 20 young girls sat cross-legged on the floor, their eyes wide, their hands clutching notebooks. Anna didn't bring a script. She didn't talk about Hollywood or red carpets. She talked about the silence. The time she almost quit, the way people smiled to her face and edited her out behind her back. But silence is not weakness, she said. It is waiting. Sometimes, it's the most powerful thing a woman can carry. One girl, no older than 10, raised her hand. Shyly. Did they say sorry to you? Anna smiled gently. Yes, but not with words that mattered. Back in Los Angeles, the film was breaking records. Fans lined up outside theaters. Critics called it the most emotionally grounded action film of the decade. But the reason wasn't just explosions or stunts. It was that people felt something. Real beneath it all, Anna's scenes, raw, unfiltered, intimate, hit harder now. Because people knew the fight behind the performance, Keanu kept his interviews short. It's always circling back to one line, you can't remove someone who's already lit the screen. But something else was brewing beneath the headlines. Anna's lawyer called her. In Cuba, they're requesting a sit-down with you again. Not just the studio, the board. Top level, they say they want to make it right. Anna didn't trust it. Not fully, but she didn't run from it either. She flew back quietly, no fanfare. No press, just truth in her chest. The boardroom was even colder than before. Same long table, same suits. Same nervous glances, but this time, Anna didn't sit. She stood at the end of the table and took out a folded paper. "I'm not here to listen to rehearsed apologies," she began. "I've heard those. I'm here to read you something." The room waited. Anna unfolded the paper and read aloud. "Dear Anna, I saw the movie with my mom. She works 3 jobs. We almost didn't go. But when we saw you on screen, she cried. She told me that's what strength looks like. I'm 10, and now I know that I want to be like you. Not because you're famous, but because you didn't. Let them make you small. Love, Sophia." Anna looked up. The room was still. "This letter," she said softly, "means more than any of your contracts." No one dared interrupt. "You think promotion is about money," she continued. "But it's about trust. If I can't trust you to see me when I give everything to your project, you don't deserve to ask for my voice when the spotlight turns on." A man at the far end of the table stood. He was older, quiet, someone who hadn't spoken in the last meeting. "Miss Armas," he said, "we failed you, not just professionally, but as a system. Teach girls to work hard, to be brave, to shine. Then we cut their faces from the poster and call it strategy." He looked down for a long second. "We're not here to offer you a new contract. We're here to ask, what do you want?" Anna paused. For the first time, they weren't telling her. They were asking her. "I want ownership," she said. "Not just of my work, but of the story. I want to produce. I want to hire women who've been erased. I want creative control. And I want my name to never be a second thought again." The board voted within an hour, unanimous. Anna de Armas was no longer just the star. She was now an executive producer on the sequel and call lead of the entire franchise. Keanu knocked on her trailer later that day. She opened the door and smiled. "You did it," he said. Anna looked at him, her voice quiet. "No," she said. "We did." He nodded, ready for what's next. Anna stepped outside, sunlight warming her skin more than ever. But what neither of them knew is that a new message had just arrived in her inbox. Not from Hollywood, but from a girl named Sophia, and this message would lead to a moment even the studio couldn't script. The face they couldn't ignore, Yana, opened her inbox just before boarding a flight to New York. The premiere tour was about to begin, this time on her terms. Yet she was no longer the face they pushed aside. Now, she was the co-led executive producer and voice of change. She had rewritten the rules. But this message stopped her breath. The subject line read, "Sophia wants to meet you." It was from Sophia's mother. "We never thought you'd read her letter. She cried when she saw your video. She keeps drawing you in her notebooks. If you're ever in our city, she just wants to say thank you." Anna didn't hesitate. She changed her flight. 2 days later, she stood outside a small apartment complex. In a quiet Chicago neighborhood, no flashing lights, no cameras, just a humbling silence. Sophia opened the door herself. Tiny brown curls, big eyes, and a bright smile missing 2 teeth. She gasped when she saw Anna. "You're real, Sophia," whispered. Anna knelt down and smiled. "Are you?" Inside the modest apartment, Sophia's mother made tea while Sophia showed Anna her drawings. Anna in a cape on a movie screen. "Standing on a podium?" "You helped my mama believe again," Sophia said. "She says girls like us are usually background." Anna's eyes watered. Not anymore. They spent hours talking. No rehearsed lines. No big speeches. Just hearts speaking to each other. Before she left, Sophia handed her one more drawing. It was a poster, a homemade version. Anna and Keanu stood side by side, but above them, in big letters, was a different title. "The Woman Who Stayed in the Frame." Anna folded it gently and held it close. When the premiere resumed in New York, Anna walked the carpet first, not after the producers, not after the studio heads. First, her dress was simple, the same one she had worn in the Havana school. Keanu walked beside her, holding her hand proudly. A reporter approached breathlessly. "Anna, the film is a global success. People are calling you the heartbeat of the story. What would you tell your younger self now? The girl who once feared being invisible. Anna smiled softly. I'd tell her, don't shrink. They'll try to erase you. But they can't if you never stop showing up. Inside the theater, as the credits rolled, something unexpected happened. A new name had been added under executive production assistance, Sofia Mendoza, age 10. Inspiration credit audience gasped softly, then applauded. Anna hadn't told anyone she did that, not even Keanu, because some victories are quiet. That's what makes them real. Months later, Anna began her next project. Not another blockbuster. This time, a small independent film about a forgotten poet from Argentina. She cast new talent. She hired first-time female editors. She shared the table, not just the screen. And when asked why, she said one thing: because power is nothing if you don't use it to make room for someone else. The old poster, the one that had removed her now, sat in a glass frame in her office, but beside it was Sophia's drawing. One erased her, the other made her unforgettable. And that, in the end, was the real story. Not about a film, but about a woman who refused to be cropped out, and a little girl who saw her anyway.